Taking a look at some of the aftermath of Hurricane Irma, which decimated several Caribbean islands, leaving millions without power, water, or food.
Well, now the U.S. military is joining the recovery effort, and ABC's Lindsay Janis is with them.
I didn't think I was going to survive.
This is all that's left of the hotel where Maureen Puckerin was staying in St. Martin. The Simpson Bay Resort was to be her dream birthday vacation. Now what is left will live on in her nightmares.
It went from the most beautiful resort ever to chaos, to total destruction.
The Category 5 storm killed at least 37 people. From Barbuda.
And this has been one of the worst days of my life. The entire country has been decimated.
To St. Martin, to the Virgin Islands. Now there are severe shortages of food, water, and medicine. On Sunday, we left with the Coast Guard on a cutter as they rushed to St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands to bring in needed supplies and to evacuate stranded Americans to Puerto Rico.
We're just coming into St. Thomas, the hardest hit of all the U.S. territories, and you can see already the evidence of Irma because all of this used to be green, but the leaves are no longer on the trees. Many of the trees are down, many of the structures here destroyed.
We'll have water, we'll have dried food, some clothes for kids in need, and we're also dropping off federal agents to help with law enforcement and try to reopen the airport and the ports in St. Thomas.
The Department of Defense says 4,600 service members are helping with relief efforts in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, while the lucky ones from another devastated island, St. Martin, are evacuated by C-130s.
What did it sound like as it was hitting?
A sound I never want to hear again in my life.
Like an airplane engine.
It did. It was a whistle, a high whistle you never want to hear in your life. I don't wish that on my birthday.
An estimated 5,000 Americans were believed to be trapped on St. Martin in the aftermath of Irma. Since Friday, the U.S. State Department has airlifted 1,900 Americans, with even more flights today.
What was it like living through Irma when it hit?
Frightening. We thought we were going to perish together.
They took these videos of the devastation outside. Soon, people began arriving from other hotels, and quickly things went from bad to worse.
A generator caught on fire. Then after they put the fire out, the people stole the generator. Then they started stealing food from our fridge. And then they beat up one tourist, hit a lady in the eye.
Other guests tell us they eventually got word of evacuations, waiting in line for hours to finally make it on a military plane. 200 others have been evacuated by cruise ship. Further along Irma's track, 10 people died in hard-hit Cuba, where today some neighborhoods were still underwater and without power.
Fuerte de lo que hemos vivido y por suerte estamos todos vivos. Hay que dar gracias porque estamos vivos.
France's President Emmanuel Macron is expected to travel to St. Martin to survey the damage and offer relief to the French-Dutch island. Residents worried about how they'll rebuild. Many people left homeless, some forced to cook their meals on coals in the middle of the street. But while tourists are able to look forward to going home, for the residents of the region, they're left with little but their grief. The tiny island of Barbuda flattened, 90% of its buildings decimated. I'm Lindsay Janis in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
For people left stranded there, because a lot of these airports were destroyed, the State Department is going in and helping to evacuate people. But interesting fact there.
That's nice of them. That's not great.
You have to pay for it. So before you board the flight, they give you a promissory note, which you have to sign, saying you will eventually reimburse the government for the cost of that flight.
And are we talking like
just note that
discount economy ticket, or is this like business class?
They say no one would be turned away or denied services because they don't have their checkbook or their credit card handy.
I guess it's not free, not at all. We'll tell you how some celebrities are helping out as well next.